A recession is coming, and it might be here sooner than you think. In the last couple of weeks, nearly $6 trillion was wiped out from the stock market. Stock markets around the world are seeing an increase in volatility, and people are starting to get worried. With interest rates still high, it's more expensive for businesses to borrow money, leaving them having to slow down growth and cut jobs and wages. If people lose their jobs, it's only a matter of time before things get dire, with people having to sell their homes, investments, and potentially their most prized items. If you're concerned about the upcoming recession, you aren't alone. As many people feel unprepared, it can be quite overwhelming in trying to deal with an economic slowdown. I've created a list of things to do to help you weather the recessionary storm that's coming. Be sure to stick to the end for the most important item on the list. Number 6. Assess your financial situation. Before we can prepare for a recession, we need to establish where we are financially. We need to take inventory of what our assets, liabilities, incomes, and expenses are. Think of it like going for a health checkup to find out where you're at first before making changes to your health. As we check our financial health, we will find some areas that need to be taken care of. Maybe you don't have a consistent budget every month and you lose track of where your money goes to. Maybe you have reckless credit card debt that's piled up. Maybe you don't have a bunch of debt or expenses, but your income barely covers your expenses, leaving you with little to nothing left. Maybe you find that your net worth, when you calculate your assets and liabilities, is in the red. Whatever it is, your areas of improvement will be exposed at this time. When you're finished taking inventory, it's time to establish a budget. I have a video about how to create a budget, as well as a Gumroad ebook available for purchase. As you build out your budget, make sure you start putting money away for an emergency fund. That way, you can buy yourself a little bit of time should you lose your job in a recession, or at any time for that matter. Now that we've established a foundation, let's move to the next point. Number 5. Reduce debt and increase savings. The next thing you need to do is to reduce your debt load and increase your savings. As a recession comes in, job losses pile up and people are left without a steady source of income. Whatever income is generated should be used to keep the family going, paying utilities, rent, groceries, etc. Debt robs you of the ability to live normally. Plus, debt is a great stressor in our lives. The more we have, the higher the stress we have. So logically, from a financial and health standpoint, it makes sense to pay down debt while we can, so that we don't have the stress of paying debt when the economy is in decline. There are 2 ways to pay debt strategically, which is covered in my debt payment plan comparison video. You can either focus on the highest interest rate debt, which is the avalanche method, or focus on paying the smallest debt first, called the snowball method. Most people would benefit more from the snowball method, as it helps boost morale when a small debt is paid in full. If you have a hard time paying your debt on time, it might be beneficial for you to set up an automated system with your bank to have payments coming out of your account every month. It's just one less thing to remember each month. Finally, if you find that you just don't have enough money each month to aggressively pay down your debt, you might want to look into doing different side hustles. I share over 100 ways to make money in my ebook on Gumroad. Go check it out. Number 4. Build an emergency fund. I've already touched on this earlier in the video, so I'll make this quick. The reason why you need an emergency fund is so that when unexpected expenses arise, you can pay for them quickly without having to take on debt. The general consensus among financial advisors is to set aside 3 to 6 months of living expenses in your emergency fund. If you have a hard time getting to that, just start with saving $1,000, then add to it as you can. Number 3. Diversify income and investments. If you haven't gotten into investments yet, one thing you will learn quickly is the idea of diversifying. Why? It reduces your overall risk. If you had one investment and it goes down 20%, you're down 20%. If you have 10 investments and one goes down 20%, your overall portfolio will only be down about 2%, assuming the other investments stay the same. A great way to diversify your portfolio is through mutual funds, index funds, or ETFs. These investments are pools of money from investors, and a portfolio manager will look for investments to purchase with a pool of funds. It's a great way to get a piece of different investments, as well as takes a load off of you trying to pick which investments to purchase. Investments aren't the only thing you should diversify. Income can also be diversified. This can be done through your investments with dividends or interest income. It can also be done with a side hustle or passive business income. If you have an online business selling t-shirts, for example, as well as your regular 9-to-5 job, well, you have two sources of income. If one fails, you have the other to fall back on. If you have a business that does online coaching, sells ebooks and courses, merchandise, among other things, you have multiple sources of income, creating a solid safety net. If starting a business on the side seems too tedious, you can resort to doing odd jobs, such as dog walking, lawn care, garbage bin cleaning, or even driving for Uber. Number 2. Create a recession survival plan. When we create a recession survival plan, think of it like a 72-hour emergency kit. This is a plan that you will enact when things get bad. To set it up, you first want to identify what expenses are essential, such as groceries, gas, rent, utilities, etc. The bare bones to survive. All other expenses should be cut either entirely or partially, depending on your recession situation. Should you lose your job or see a severe reduction in your pay, your budget will have to reflect that. I know, it means no more Starbucks coffees until things improve, or random date nights on a Tuesday. This plan isn't meant to be a permanent thing, but only until things improve in your finances. While budgets aren't popular, they will absolutely save you when times get tough. At this point, your local or national government may roll out different programs to help people stay afloat and find new employment. Make sure you look into these programs and take advantage of them if you're eligible. Number 1. Mental and emotional preparations. Recessions can take a toll on people in more ways than one. Many people can suffer both financially and mentally when the economy shrinks. If you lost your job or losing income due to the recession, it can put a massive amount of stress on your shoulders. There may be a sense of hopelessness or fear as debts start to pile up and there isn't enough income to make ends meet. With the action plan and strategies mentioned earlier in the video, hopefully you don't experience high levels of stress. If stress does start to build up, make sure you have a plan to deal with it. You may have to start doing guided meditations or going for walks to help relieve stress. Exercise is also a great way to help combat stress levels. If things get too far, you may want to find professional help. See if there are counseling services that will help you deal with the stress without costing too much. Finally, make sure you surround yourself with a good community of people. If you have a strong support network, you have people you can reach out to for help in managing your stress, finances, or whatever is going on in your life. Don't be afraid to reach out to a friend. They've probably dealt with a similar situation and can provide guidance to you. And if they're in the same situation, you might be able to work together to pull yourselves out. Recessions can be scary, there's no doubt about that. While it's easy to panic about the recession, it's important that we create an action plan to help mitigate the stresses of the impact. Be sure to create a budget, pay down your debt, be proactive in your income streams, and create a community of people that you can rely on for help. I hope this video has brought you a sense of peace and hope for your future preparations. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to watch my video on how to profit during a recession. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.